This is Serendipity Intended, and my name is Tracy Ann, and I am working on day 8 of Junk Journal July 2025. The prompt for today is bags, and I've got my starting point here on the screen right now. Some paints that I will be using in a little while, a circle punch, actually I guess this is an oval punch, of course my trusty Yoo-hoo, and I also have my art glitter glue over here, some scissors, a paint strip which I may use in a bit, a photo from a magazine of a bread bunny, just I've had for ages, I thought was cute and it just might work. I've also got some paper here, some of which I've used on other pages and others that are new. I'm just going to leave those here for now. And then I have a piece of a bag from a French bread package that I've been holding on to, and also a page from an old phone messaging page book that I thought might be interesting or useful. So I'm going to set this aside for the moment. And so these two pages I'm going to use for bags. And in case you're wondering, the little bits that are here, you may not be able to see them. They are from this page spread opening where I had created a hinge for the butterfly. So they're going to pretty much be covered up with this bag. So my idea was to put the bag here and make it a pocket that something could be tucked into, and also then use the other side for maybe some text. So that's kind of what I have so far. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. The first thing that I need to do is get the bottom of this evened off just a little bit. So I'm going to actually, let's move this hole punch out of the way. I'm just going to put this here, and I want to keep as much of the bag as I can. So just trim it off here, and that will clean that side up. And then I actually, on this side, what I want to do is use these Fisker scissors that they sort of look like the top of a bag. I don't know if you can see that little sort of, it's kind of like a postage stamp sort of look. So I thought I would go, actually, let me just check and make sure I don't have, or now this is probably the best. I was wondering if I had a zigzag, and I don't. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut more or less straight across. Again, just trying to give the, oh goodness, trying to give the illusion of how the top of the bags actually are. I don't know if you can see that or not. And then just to kind of make the illusion go a little bit further, I'm going to take this punch and cut out just a little bit of a notch. That could have worked better. I probably should have backed this with something, so I'll just go around it with the same scissors. And there we go. And now when I do that, I don't know if you can see, but there's part of the bag behind is showing, and I don't want to see that. So what I'm going to do is just trace real quickly where it is, and then I'm going to cut off just a little bit further inside of that line so that it doesn't stick out. And then I'm also, because I don't really think I need all of this, I'm going to fold this over to make it a little bit sturdier, and I'll glue it down so that the part that's adhering to the page is a little bit thicker. So what I'm going to do, I think, is put that in there to mark my spot and just slide this over. So I've folded this in, and I'm just going to use my glue stick for this. Just going to put a little bit of glue on here and fold that over, and then I'll probably use my little glue pad here, and then do the same thing, even this up a little bit, not really so much because anybody's going to see it, but just because I think it makes it easier to manage. There. Okay, so then that gives us our bag shape, and then I need to close up the bottom. So I'm going to fold here and then fold the same amount over here so there's a clean edge, and then fold this way, and then didn't do that very well, did I? There. All right, and because this is going to get a little bit more pressure on it, I'm going to use a little bit of the glitter glue inside here and underneath, and then same thing inside here, and underneath. So I won't glue it here because I want the pocket to go all the way down, but that way I have a little bit of a pocket. Okay, I can get this back out of the way and open my page back up. Now I am going to put this here. You can see now it's smaller than it had been. I am not in love with what's behind for this, so I'm gonna deal with that, and I kind of want this clean. So what I think I'm gonna do is just use actually this might be cute. Let's see if I were to put that there like that. No, I want to stick with the kind of like in the red, white, and blue color palette a little bit. Okay, so what I decided to do was, this is a page that I took from the book, and I was thinking I could use this so there's a little bit of writing. It's not completely plain, but it sort of fits in with the style of the book. And I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm gonna grab my pencil, and I'm going to trim that off just, goodness gracious, just inside of those lines, so just to the inside. And then again here, just to the inside. And then I can glue this down. And so now the only thing I need to decide is where I want to put. Kind of like the fringe, sticking up here. Yeah, and there's this little bit here that is hanging over, and again, I'm gonna take what I'll do here. So I'll take a little bit of this paper and I'll grab my index punch and I will punch a piece of this for there. All right, so I've got my tab punch and it punches a tab like this. So I'll take this red, white, and blue and let me trim this off just to make it easier to get this in. Okay, so now that I've trimmed that off, and slide that out, and then I can glue. I love this paper because it's got something on the back, so I can glue that here. And actually, I think what I'm going to do is continue that like this so that I can glue it right on the edge and I still get the definition here. And I think also for this, I'm going to use the score tape since it's a tab, just to ensure that it stays. Actually do it this way, stays good and stuck down. All right, and I have buried my ruler. Hang on to that because I will use it again shortly. So not a super rigorous tab, but a little one. And then this will go on here like so. And I think I'm going to use my glitter glue for this. So I'm looking through because I'm gonna use the dotted line at the top of the page. It's on the side here. So I was kind of peeking through the paper to see where that was so that I didn't glue on the outside of it. All right. And then actually slide that a little this way. There we go. And there. Okay. Now I need to adhere the pocket down. And yeah, then attach it. So I'm going to use that score tape again. And I'm actually not going to put it on the outside edges because then I don't have any give. I'm going to put it here on the inside edges because then I get the smallest amount of give. So I could fit something bulkier inside and I'm much less likely to tear it. And then I'll go across here. Tape comes with the backing. It doesn't really matter here, but I do like that it's clear, so you can see. All right, so I'm gonna line it up with the back. I don't want to go all the way to the bottom, so right about there. Okay, that works. And then I have a little pocket here, right, for whatever I decide that I want to include there. Okay, before I fill the pocket though, I need to do something with this facing page because I do not want to leave this here either. I want to cover it with something. So what I think I'm going to do, because I don't necessarily mind the text, I just don't want to really see it, is I'm going to paint it. So put some wax paper underneath, and then I'm going to use this Apple Barrel matte white to do the background. Most of it is white, but like I said, I wanna cover up some of this. So let me grab a reasonably wide, because I just want to paint this whole thing quickly. Okay, so I painted this. It's not dry. I'm going to take this whole thing and set it all aside. Give that a chance to dry. And I want to work on the tag. Now, I had been thinking that this would be a fun item to use for a tag, and I still might, this paint strip, because I think the colors go really well. But I also have this this bread bunny, and I think he is just wonderful, and I think it would be so cute to tuck him into the bread bag. So I'm going to turn him into a tag. He's a little wide, so I will have to cut him down before all is said and done, but I think I can do that, and he'll still look good. So I just have, this is just a mailer that I got, and I'm going to use this. I am going to take a sanding pad and just real quickly go over the back. This won't be seen, but it's really glossy, and I want to make sure that when I glue the paper on the back side that there's some tooth for it to stick to. So I'm just kind of going all over with my sanding pad, and then there. Okay, but then Bunny is going to go on this side, and I do think that I'm going to, because it's a tag and it's going to move quite a bit, I think I'm going to use the glitter glue. So I'll go around the outside edges. With the glue. Now you might have noticed that I didn't cut the bunny ears out. I never do when I've got little delicate things like that, because I'm always afraid they're going to get damaged. So I will cut them out after I've got everything in place. Same thing with trimming the little bunny feet. I will wait to do that once I've got both sides covered, because then I can cut it and I know it will be even on both sides. Just gonna squidge him around a little bit, rub him in real good. Okay, And then I need to find some paper for the back. And since I do want to make this a journaling tag, I want something that I can write on. But I also don't want to use more paper than I have to. So I am going to trim this a little bit so it's closer to the edge. So I'm not using quite as much paper when I do the back of it. So I'll cover the whole back, right? But then I will cut the whole thing out, and then I'll end up with the shape. If this was just a little bit wider, I could actually just use this as the back, but I don't think that's gonna work. Okay, so I gotta find something for the back of this. Okay, I think I found something. So this blue, it's a sort of subtle damask pattern, which I think, since it's French bread, sort of feels appropriate. And the blue works really well with the blue. I can't really write on it with a regular pen, but I can write on it with a gel pen, and that's totally fine. So I'm going to attach it onto the back. And again, I'm going to glue the whole thing down. One thing I have found is that when I use glitter glue on a surface that I'm going to write on, sometimes the glitter glue becomes a little dimensional, and then it's tricky to write on. So on this side, I am going to just use my glue stick. And if some edges come up after I cut it out, then I can repair those with the glitter glue. But I think this is going to end up being the better decision. All right, here, and then so I know I've got two straight edges here where I didn't cut out, so I'm going to take advantage of those. Kind of line it up. And again, trim off real quickly, just so I'm not fighting with this large piece of paper. Just rough trim. And then, okay, now I just need to wait for that to dry a bit. Okay, so I'm gonna cut this guy out. And I'm gonna go ahead and cut it fairly close. Now this is stiff because I've got this heavier card in there. So I find that if you cut to the corners, it makes it a little bit easier to get in those really tight spots. And then come in this way. That should be the one really difficult spot. I didn't quite get a little bit of white there. Okay. Oh, got it a little thinner than I had intended. Now for now, I'm going to cut him right along the edge, and I will come back later and trim it and make it a little bit more precise based on the bag. Same thing with his lower feet, because they're definitely too big. So again, right now I'm just trying to get him cut so I can figure out where I do actually need. Whoops, I took way too much off there. boogers. Okay. I don't need to be as concerned about the outside of those feet because I'm going to trim them off, but everything else, I'm trying to be pretty consistent with getting. Okay. Oh, this is going to be cute. Okay. Okay, at the back, and this is all scrap. Okay, so this white paper is still drying over here, but I can figure this out. So see, he doesn't quite fit. So I'm gonna lay him down on this bag, and I really just need to shave like the smallest amount off on his paws, and they'll fit. It's his little Tootsie Wootsies that need to let's see. It's gotta make sense, and it's gotta fit. All right, so there's that one. There's that one, and then, like I said, the hands don't need a whole lot. I'm gonna take off as little as I possibly can. All right, let's see how that, oh, that's really close. Just need the tiniest more. I think probably here is where I need to, let's see if that's enough. That was this side. Oh, yay. Oh my gosh, look how cute he is. Okay, that's adorable. All right, so with that done, I'm gonna clean up the edges here a little bit. So again, I'm gonna slide this out of the way and grab my Wicked Black and my little dauber, and I'm just going to go around the outside edge, mostly because I don't want the card underneath to be super obvious. So I'll go around and I'll do that to get rid of like the white, but then if there's any weirdness going on with the way that I cut it, it'll also help to hide that. And yeah, like see, like right here there's a little bit of white, but if I use that, then I don't have to cut any off, but I've hidden it. And then I'm going to come around on the back side and cut a little bit there and see that white. So if I can trim that out. Trim that out. That one I don't think I'm going to be able to trim out, or that one. Ooh, that I can totally trim though. Okay. So now we've got our little bunny. Do his ear. There we go. Okay. All right. So there's our tag. And he can go right in there like so. Okay. And I think this needs to dry just a little bit longer. Okay, so I have decided that I'm going to use some stamps, some foam stamps to stamp some words over on to this side to kind of go with this page. And but I don't want to just, I want it somewhat lined up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my ruler to create some bottom lines, and then I'll use those to line up. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do right here. Let's see. There's the bottom, and then this is, let's see, 6, so 7 inches, so 3.5 is the middle. So if I bump it up to there, okay, and then those can get erased later on. Okay, so I think I'm going to do, navy for the letters. So this is actually, it's a plaid folk art acrylic color. It's number 908 indigo. So I'm going to use that, and oh my goodness, there we go. Oh, that decided to squeeze out in a really obnoxious way. Okay, then we will take a paintbrush. Now, all I have is lowercase letters, but I want the first letter to be uppercase. So what I'm going to do, actually this is too wide. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bottom edge of this and line it up with the line here so that the M doesn't quite go all the way, and then I will hand do the rest of it down to the bottom. Okay, but first I need to find the paintbrush I'm looking for. Are you like me where you have a specific paintbrush in mind, one that you think will do exactly what you need it to do, and no other paintbrush will suffice? That's how I feel about this. Okay, so I'm trying to get enough that it will stamp, but not so much that it's gonna eke out. And this is a little bit of an experiment. I haven't used these in ages. Okay, here goes nothing. That actually turned out pretty good. And then if I just lightly with my pencil, so I have some kind of a guideline, I can take the brush and continue. Trying to get it to look a little less brushed and a little bit more stamped. Okay, I think that will work. Okay, so then we'll do, so I'm doing and I'm hoping I can fit 3 M's. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do that, but that is the hope and the plan. Okay, here we go. And okay, not going to be able to fit 3. That's okay. That is okay, and I do need to touch up just a little bit. Still let it look stamped. Okay, I don't think this comes with a comma. Looking real quick in here. It has an exclamation point and a question mark, but not a comma. So I will have to approximate a comma. There we go. All right, and then pretty sure I need 4 letters on the bottom. Pretty sure I can fit it because they're all skinnier than the M. Okay. Right side up. G. Oh, this is kind of fun. I think I'm going to do the O higher. Yeah, I'm going to do the O higher. Sorry, I keep forgetting that if it's here and easy for me to see, it's kind of off the camera for you. All right. That's going to be a little bit crooked, which is okay. Not too bad. Just a wee bit. I've done a lot worse. Okay. Okay, I think I'll just do this one even with the other. Yep, there we go. It's a little globby. All right, and then the D. Is that gonna be? Yeah, that's gonna be a D. The D looks like a B because it's the reverse image. All right. There we go. And it was a little bit crooked, but that'll be okay. Good. Oh, that's fun. Okay, now I seriously need to let this dry. And then I got to figure out how to get a little bit of the red onto this page. I've got this, but I don't feel like that's enough. Hey, I'm back. I'm still not convinced that these are dry enough for me to erase the pencil lines, so I'm gonna wait a little bit longer, but I did decide I like this polka dot washi tape here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that. Oh my goodness gracious. It shouldn't be this hard, Trace. Put this little bit of washi tape right there, and that'll give a little bit of a pop of red right there. And then I think I might also possibly cut off a little piece of washi and plop it right there underneath of the G or the O's. So yeah, I think that's kind of fun. I like that. So we'll go ahead and stick with that, and then I think I'm gonna just let this dry for a couple of hours and then come back to it. And I'm back. Everything is nice and dry. So the first thing I'm gonna do is take this eraser and get rid of my pencil lines, because don't wanna, oh, I can't quite get it in there. Don't wanna look at those, and they're no longer needed. Okay, so now I have a few more things I want to do. I'm really trying to keep this page more minimal than usual, but I'd like to incorporate this washi with the dotted lines. I don't want to do it by hand this time. I definitely think I want to use this for the dotted lines. I need to incorporate the title, and then off camera, I stamped an 8, since this is for day 8, onto this paint strip, and I want to make it a tag, but I need to put something on the back, although I guess I could write on this, but I want something on the back. So I'm going to do that, and then I will be done with this page. So let me just set this here. So I was thinking, well, what can I do? I've already got the dotted line here. So I don't know that I necessarily need it on the right-hand side, but on the left-hand side I do. And so I'm going to take this, and I feel like the top still could use something. I'm having a little trouble finding there we go. So I was thinking either up here so it's in a similar place as the other, or possibly no, I think up top. I think up top. And you know, I am just noticing that this dotted line has words in the center, and I'm certain you can't see that. And to be honest with you, I can't read them, but there are little words inside of that dotted line. And then I think I'm going to put this here, so not completely on it, but hanging down just a little bit. So there. And then let me get my handy dandy. I'm just going to use this. It's kind of thin. You're going to be able to see through the back, and I'm really sort of okay with that. But I'm just going to use that on the back. Simple, quick, easy, done, and done. So go ahead and make sure I get the edges real good. And then the center, again, I'm using the glue stick rather than the art glitter glue, because I have found that sometimes when I use the art glitter glue that it ends up that at the top. So I need to do it this way. It ends up being bumpy and making little ridges when I write, which I don't want. So you can see that there's quite a bit of bleed through. So I didn't really want it to completely go away. I just wanted to push it to the back a bit, and I've been able to do that. So take scissors and cut there. There. And then it looked like these edges might not have stuck. So, okay, so that gives me that. And then just to connect it a little bit to the other side, I'm going to, do I want it here? Do I want it down the side? I kind of like the idea of it going all the way down the side. So that's what I'm gonna do. And tear that one off nice and straight. So a little journaling card there, and then we can tuck this in the back behind Rabbit. And there we go. I had fun with this. Again, a departure from my normal, but I think it turned out just fine. Thank you so much for watching.